series on innocence and knowledge. And one of those conflicts, of course, is what knowledge does to that innocence, to the cluttering of that inner altar that you refer to. But I think even a deeper conflict is that knowledge reveals an external reality, superficial as it though it may be, that is far different from the internal reality, except as that is extended in abstract conceptualization of the outer reality. And I just wondered if you'd like to comment more on that kind of conflict and the role of knowledge here, the purpose of it.
Yes, well, I think that one of the central problems in the conflict is that as innocence is lost in the experience of knowing, there is a guilt that comes with it. That, from my point of view, can never be resolved because it is not a guilt for which the individual is responsible as a trespasser. It's a giver, and I know in the years when I was teaching, and primarily teaching undergraduates in college, and I see youngsters come in full of whatever they had, and then as they take their first courses in let's say in psychology and some other things, and there was a loss of a certain kind of innocence for which sometimes even through the senior year they felt somehow guilty. I don't know how to say but I think you sense what I mean. And I think that as long as a person lives, he's trying to atone for that. And it can never quite be done because things can never be as they once were. And I think it puts too much of a burden on knowledge to absorb from the individual the guilt for a loss of the innocence because the knowledge kills. I don't know if you've ever felt this way, but there's been times in my life when I just say, well, I don't want to know anything about this. I mean, I want to hang on to my private illusions a little longer. You remember in Ibsen's Wild Duck, this young radical man, I don't remember his name, but he felt that his job was to rid human beings of their illusions, and he's talking to the doctor in the play, and the doctor says, but don't do that. When you rob a man of his illusions, you rob him of his happiness. I don't know. That isn't the whole truth, but it sure scares the whole truth to death. And I think that there is there is no revolution to this. I don't think so. Because innocence is given and knowledge is acquired. And I think it puts too great a burden on the psyche to deal with that, I think, so that perhaps we can find ways to make guilt productive and creative and so forth and so on. But anyway, that's yes. Oh, sorry. I'm not presiding. Excuse me. Oh no, I'm sorry.
I'll ask Hyman, do you have a question or a comment?
Well, it's related to this.
Then we open it up for...
Okay. It's related to the innocence question, but this is a curveball. And it's, in my mind, it's stripping. That until we have stripped ourselves of this acquired knowledge and concepts of ourselves and opened up to ourselves as we are by some gift of grace, we will never perceive the universe as it really is either. And the stripping means it's something like the Buddha went through. An enormously strenuous total effort over years with everything laid on the counter. And in Hindu theology, of course, it took him, 10,000 lifetimes or something to come to this? So that ordinary people like us just struggle through with our piecemeal illusions, ideas of ourselves, ways of earning a living, what kind of career we are doctors or we are this or that. And we are actually fractions of ourselves, and we are so blind and so overburdened with these roles that we can never come to ourselves unless we finally give up.
Completely,
Stop trying.
Stop trying.
And then maybe it'll happen.
Maybe it will.
I won't say, but I'll pass on that. Thank you very much. I'll pass on that, but I'll come back to it, though.
There are two hands raised. Suppose we take the gentleman first, just to switch things, and then the lady. Yes.
I was wondering whether the conflict that we're talking about,
Speak up a bit, please.
conflict between the inner and the outer could be somewhat helped, eased by the idea that what you were quoted on by Dr. Booker, the idea that death is an important part of life. So if we add that third dimension, that death is an important factor in our life, and what comes afterward of our soul and things living is unknown, but certainly not anything to be cut off. That's my first remark. I want to make one very quick other one, so I will get it in. And that is that you and everybody else should always almost worship order. And it's almost a blasphemy to say what I am saying. I don't care whether there's order. I am just as happy in hell. It makes no difference whatever.
First of all, I think that there is a very profound insight in the notion that perhaps one of the critical tests of reality is the paradox itself. With reference to life and death, in my thinking, life is felt more than seen, I guess. Life is felt by me as having two dimensions. One, life as contrasted with death. And then life that contains both life and death. Just as an individual is never quite contained in what the individual is doing or thinking or being at any given time. There's always there's a margin that is the observer of the individual, that is never absorbed in whatever it is that the individual is doing or thinking or ising. Because it seems to be that the experience of living is made up of a series of events, that which is eventful, time-space intervals, units. But no single event ever quite says totally what the experience is. Some part of me remains the observer, of me the participant. And I think that's why I can never do anything that represents completely and utterly my intent. If I would ask you now to select one thing that most completely and utterly represented you, you would hardly be able to do it. Because as soon as you've made a choice of the thing in which all of your cylinders would work, you say, oh, but that didn't include this little spark plug here or there. So therefore it seems to me that there is a sense in which life is outside of any time-space intervals. But that dimension of life that is never totally consumed in any event is always informing the events. And I think, and I feel this way, to go back to your figure about life and death. I think that death is an event in life. It is not something that takes place to life. So that I may observe. I, Howard Thurman, the observer, may watch with something Howard Thurman die. Because what I'm really trying to say is that no experience, however profound and intimate and significant, ever quite exhausts the life possibility in that event. So that therefore, when I think of life, I think of it as something that contains the totality of my existence, and also something that contains the eventful aspect of my life, the thisness and the thatness. And I think uniquely religion tends to focus on the life-death rhythm rather than on the life continuity rhythm. And I think the religion at its best, however, emphasizes both of these dimensions. Whatever may be the nature of the historicity of the particular religion, I think they all finally come through this door where there's a givenness in life that transcends all of the interpretation and the reactions to the experience of being alive, and therefore for the religious person, I don't like that. But the thing that attracts me, going back to the original horse we were riding, the thing that attracts me most fundamentally about the religion of the inner life is precisely this, that here I come upon what in essence I am as a time binder, as over against being merely a space binder, and it is the time binding aspects of my life, the part of my life that is never quite trapped by the experiences of my life. And I think this to me is the ground of whatever optimism I have about the nature of existence and the ultimate destiny of man.
Last time I was a moderator, I said lady, and I was chastised. I should have said woman. So with the woman who raised her hand.
Say lady.
Okay.
Either one.
All right. Yes, Betty.
Dr. Thurman, two things. First, I was very interested in your topic because it seems so Emersonian to me, and Emerson brought me to the Unitarian Church. The whole idea of balance and integration seems to me to reflect that kind of history. But I'm also very interested in this idea of innocence and experience. I studied William Blake quite a while, and I'm interested in the whole idea of the mystical life and the relationship between the life in the mystic and the traditional stages that the mystic goes through as compared to the rest of us who might not really think of ourselves as mystics, but perhaps are going through some of the same stages. When you talk about the average college student, for instance, who goes in and has his innocence and then is hit by the experience, this is the first and the second stage of the mysticism. And I think many of us in middle age have gone through a dark night of the soul. For that reason, couldn't you say that all of this together creates this life and death path that you're talking about, this cycle, and isn't there a little optimism at the end of the line?
Oh, I think there's optimism in the whole process. In the first place, I think there's optimism because I don't have any choice. I mean, I'm stuck with life. There's nowhere to go. So I've settled in for the long pull. and I think that that a part of my assignment is to distill out of the raw materials of my experience all the necessitous ingredients that I need to make my journey. And I don't think I have to go all around trying to. I think it's all here on my path. What is it? Go wondrous creature. What is it? Where science guides instruct the planets and the jobs to run. What else? What is it? You know, folks just say, go wondrous. Does anybody know? You remember it? Go wondrous creature where Mount where science guides, instruct the planets and the jobs to run, state the tides and regulate the sun, then drop into thyself and be a fool. Now, So I start with myself and move out to the planets, thinking that I short-circuit the process. But I don't want any, no, that's wrong. I think that all that I need for my journey is inherent in my journey. Now, I may not know it until I run into something over here. And when I see it over there, I said, oh, yes, I'm familiar with that, but I didn't know that's what it was. So I come back to my, I think that no, that's wrong. For me, the problem is to not be confused by the categories that I use. When I at the end of my first year in seminary, I came back home for a month, for 2 weeks, and I was very anxious to get back. This was the first time that I lived up north, and I wanted to talk to my grandmother and Mama, particularly my grandmother, about all these marvelous things I've been learning about Jesus. And I'd never heard of low criticism, high criticism, and J and E, all that business, and I was just full of it. I was anxious to get back to give her the real scoop on Jesus. Oh, it was wonderful. And she sat there patiently rocking and listening to me. And then when I finished, she said, well, boy, you didn't have to go to Rochester to learn that. And then she started talking to me about Jesus. Not in Christological terms, but as if he were our neighbor. A whole new something. Now I feel that the raw materials of our experiences are given to us, out of which we make the ingredients needful for the negotiation of the time interval of our life. I feel very proud of that. Well, yes.
Before you speak, I'd like to take, and then I'll let you speak. I'd like to take a straw vote. I don't want to break the momentum of our meeting. We've been going an hour and 15 minutes. Would you like, after this question, a 5-minute break?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. And would you like, I heard your yes.
Oh, yes. Do you have coffee?
I will supply coffee, but I think I'd like to have this young man have the opportunity to ask his question or make his comment.
Yes, sir.
I say young question. The sun is shining through those curtains, and we really can't see very well looking this way.
We're all young.
So would the old man please have his
I
comment?
like to see into the conflict between the inner and the outer.
Yes.
I like to say that I come from a very different background. Anything that my entire life has been very much that of a rationalist. Nevertheless, through some recent experiences, I have come to where I can fully resonate with everything that you have
deep down within their center is some expectation of the nature of a personal God. And accordingly, for those people, I believe that when they start thinking in terms of an inner life, and with the expectation that there is a place that you will meet God, I think what gets involved is you've got an expectation of what God is going to be like. And accordingly, since I don't have that expectation, I don't need to deal with the fact that it's a conflict between inner and outer. Because I'm not looking for an inner life that will be different than the relationship to what I have learned as an outer life.
Excuse me. Oh no, I don't poison it. Well, I like it black, but it's all right.
Oh, I can get another one like that.
Oh, I hate to have you do that. Excuse me a minute. You remember, and there was a reference last night, I quoted 3 or 4 lines from Olive Schreiner's the Story of an African Farm, and this young woman asked this man, "Do you ever pray?" And he said no, but he said, and then he described this out, and I wouldn't pray, but the feeling I would call the feeling of prayer. Now, I'm very moved by what you have had to say, because I think it points up something very important in the whole and the total experience that we designate as being religious. To me, the crucial element, even in the use of the category, has to do with the nature of the response of the individual to the experience. For one of the things that I think is important, certainly for me, and I think it's fundamental to what, for lack of a better term, I would call the experience of religious piety, is that under certain circumstances and in certain moods are regarded as moods of response to an experience which is labeled in the highest and most significant terms possible. As you were talking, my mind ran hurriedly or quickly or suddenly over the whole evolution of my own thought and feeling about this. And And what has happened in the course of these years of my life to my idea of God. And the most important thing that has happened is that to me God is no longer an idea in the mind. I think when I was a little boy, one of the things that monitored my behavior at night was the fact that the stars were peepholes through which God could look and see what I was doing at night. And this was a great, not that I was interested in doing things at night that I would do in the day, but nevertheless, I felt the personal imago. As I've grown older and my own religious experience has developed, I have no idea in my mind when I use the term God. No, that's wrong. No, that's not quite what I'm thinking. That to me, God is more than an idea in the mind. That's really what I'm saying. And the personal aspect of it is the personal meaning of the term, I'll get it all in, is my response to a sense, this may seem very vague to you or to anybody, my response to a sense of presence. Now, what do I mean by that? I go back to my childhood again. What would we do if we didn't have a childhood? Someone says we wouldn't be here. Someone says we'd be better off. Now, you can take your choice. You're stuck with it anyway. Growing up in our town, we believed in ghosts. Of course, nobody in this room has ever had that as a part of his or her experience, but I grew up as a boy in Florida, in Daytona, believing in ghosts. And I actually had an experience once. I won't get off the point by telling you about it, but don't forget it, yes. But the thing that marked, this is what I'm getting at, the thing that marked the presence of a ghost was a wave of heat. You're walking along the dark road and you turn off the main street going down to my house. And it's suddenly, and this is Florida and waves of heat, that didn't make any difference. When a wave of heat swept over you knew now that you were in the presence of a spirit. Undefined, not the spirit of your father or your uncle, but it was the manifestation of a presence. Now, it seems to me that all arguments of any kind that seek to make a case for the existence of God, from my point of view, are completely irrelevant. when I think of God, I think of the kind of response that is evoked in me under certain particular circumstances and conditions. I say when I think, when I am aware of God, this awareness has no definition, no category. It's a sense. It's a feeling tone, and I think that for me, feelings are mental processes moving so fast that you can't break them down in particulars. When they slow down, then they become mental things. That I therefore, and I don't want to drag this out, but I understand, I think, what you are saying. And when I applied the question you raised to myself, God is personal to me in terms of the quality and the kind of response that I make to what to me is the sacred and the holy.
I meant to say, I do believe we are very much in the same place. What I was trying to bring out more is the process by which we got there. It's what changed the issue of the conflict. For me, I don't sense this conflict between the inner and the outer. And I'm suggesting that the reason that I don't feel it or didn't feel it is that I didn't go through the process of expanding the category of the concept of.
I see. That may be true.
To deal with this now.
Oh, no, because you see, it's 11:30 now.
I think we better take you can pick this up at that point if you like. Let us take a 10-minute break, and I really mean 10 minutes, and then go back.
What you were saying, and I also want to bring some of the thoughts here that I was having last night. I had a challenge of 2 minutes to express my depth and scope of a response to Dr. Thurman. But one of the things that he's given me that I've used over and over again is freedom is a set of option. So last night I exercised my option and chose not to deal with the challenge of talking because I couldn't get my heart and mind all up there at the same time within the given. But one of the things I wanted to say in some kind of way is that I have a lot of gratitude for Dr. Thurman because he has enabled me to bring God to my Unitarian Universalist church. And I no longer apologize for God here. And and I can't tell you how much that means to me. It just loosens up my stomach.
Thank you, Gina.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to say is that I have a lot of gratitude for a tool that he gave me. And I'd like to share that tool. And the tool is spiritual discipline. The first seminar I ever went to with Dr. Thurman was called Spiritual Discipline. And up until that time, I didn't know the spirit could be disciplined. And there are actual how to do it that helps us come to the place where we can experience the presence of God as we imagine as children. And one of those important disciplines is the discipline of prayer. And to come with me and go through the same kinds of things that his students have gone through in order to find and exercise those muscles in themselves. I don't like going to other churches to pray. I like to pray in my home. And that's how Dr. Thurman defines church. I'm home.
Betty? Betty? Lucille?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I appreciate very much what you have been saying about the inner life and the altar within and centering and all of this. But I would like to, if I can, a change of emphasis. It seems to me the emphasis has been on mysticism with very little discussion of social action. Now, it seems to me that in a world in which 2/3 of the people of the world are starving, in which a slight touch of the button could destroy all of the things for which we have reverence, and reverence for life is certainly one of my central motivations, that to concentrate on introspection is a luxury for a very small elite in this world, mostly upper middle class people. And that although I know you have said, and I've heard the Zen Buddhists and Maharishi and others all say that inner centering leads automatically